Hi, Bill Barney here, and welcome to our TV show at All Things Possible. And today I'm very excited. This is a fun one for me. This is something I've been working on for 3 years, and I'm here to announce my new book that is coming out shortly. It's Shine the Light Within, Lighten Your Soul Through Forgiveness. And this book has been a labor of love. For about 3 years I've been working on it off and on. And I got about what I thought was most of the way done, and I found out that I was only a third of the way done. In the last 30 days, I made a commitment that it was time to hurry and get this book done. And my gosh, I just wrote and wrote and wrote, and it has been a labor of love, and I felt so connected to the divine, to my Heavenly Father, as I put what I felt He wanted me to put in this book. So what is in this book? What is this about? If you struggle to forgive, if you're hanging on to the past, if you had a terrible experiences at some time in your life where someone seriously offended you, where they hurt you, where they took from you, this book is for you. If you're a person that hangs on to little things and they seem to bother you and keep coming back for little things people have done to you over the years, this book is for you. If you're a person that wants more light in your life, this book is really for you. And I want to go in and share with you a little bit about what this book is about. So, the basic part of this book, and the reason I wrote it, is that in my energy medicine practice, I have many clients come to me that have been abused, raped, been raised in very dysfunctional families by dysfunctional parents. And there's a lot to forgive there. And as I worked with these people, I've worked with women who were 70 years old that were abused as a child, and here they are 60 years later, and they're still so damaged, and they can't let go, and they're stuck in life and they can't move forward. And then I've worked with people with a lot more recent issues, and what I've found is there's steps you can make to actually forgive. We're told to forgive. We're told why to forgive. And it's not about just because God told us to. It's about what it does to us, because we carry out this poison and this weight, this poison inside of us and this weight on our shoulders. And it really drags us down. Forgiveness is a lot more about us than it is the person that offended us. It really has very little to do with them. It's about us. And through this, working with these clients through these processes, I developed a simple yet very profound 5-step process to forgive. And what's cool is most of the time you don't even need to do all 5 steps. Sometimes 1 step, sometimes 2 or 3. 2, 3. No, I'm not going to start counting on my fingers. But it's simple, yet the effects are profound. And when people do the things in this order, they have amazing results. I've had many clients come in that says, I could never forgive that person, or I don't want to forgive that person. They don't deserve forgiveness. And in visiting with me for an hour in one of these energy clearing sessions, they walk out of that session saying, wow, I never imagined the weight that I was carrying. I feel so much better. And they have forgiven, and they can move on with their life. Let me give you the number 1 tip to forgive. And this is the one where most people struggle. And a lot of people think they've forgiven and they haven't. And that is my number 1 step in this 5-step process, is you have to heal the pain. That is that your negative emotions, your feelings, whatever that is, if someone did something bad to you, the anger, the hurt, the sadness, the betrayal, all of those negative things, you have to heal them within you first. And so many people say they've tried, and if they're a very spiritual person, they prayed and asked God to help them get rid of this. But if they don't heal the pain, they just stay stuck, and they might convince themselves, and that they can even stuff it down deep enough that they don't think about it anymore. But when they start talking about it a little bit, all this stuff comes up, all the emotions, and that's what we have to heal. We have to heal the pain first. So that's the first part of the forgiveness process. And I think one of the most important, often one of the most overlooked, is to heal the pain. The next part that I go through in this, well, not the next part, but one of the significant parts that I go through in this book is to forgive yourself. And the things that work to forgive others many times don't work when we go to forgive ourselves, because those people don't live in your head. And when somebody's living in your head and you try to forgive them, it goes around and around. It can be really tough. And yet in working with these hundreds of clients over the years in my energy medicine practice, I've learned ways and processes for them to work that out to where they can truly forgive themselves and let go. So this book is a self-help book. There are 8 different worksheets. There's many things in there that you can do to improve yourself. But there's 8 different lists in the book of where you can write things down. Lists that you need to forgive yourself, other people, things that you haven't thought about. There's little things to trigger emotions, to bring up memories of people that you need to forgive. And what's amazing is once you can clear out and forgive everything you can think of, it's a cool feeling to say, I can't think of a single person I'm mad at. That's a whole level of freedom. And believe me, there's times when I felt like I can't think of a single person I'm mad at. And I work myself now. When I think of it, when an old memory pops up, I try to do it in that moment, because I love that feeling of not having that weight that I'm dragging around with me. What's cool with the book is if you go to the website associated with the book, shinethelightwithin.com, you'll be able to download the list for the book. And it's much more than just about forgiveness. This book is about a struggle between light and darkness. In every cartoon, in books, in movies, whatever it is, there's always, the bad guy. There's the darkness, and then there's the light, the struggle between good and evil. And that happens within us, and hence the title of the book, Shine the Light Within. When we haven't forgiven somebody, we have a lot of darkness in us. And as we shine the light of love and forgiveness within, the darkness always flees before the light. And this book has so many things about chasing out the darkness, ways to add more light to yourself. And it takes you through higher processes. We think about all the bad things, and then we go into processes where we talk about, what about the people you just don't like? It may not be somebody that offended you, but you just don't like them because of the way they walk or talk or whatever that is, or the color of their hair. They bring up, when you don't like somebody, they bring up the same emotions as a person who's offended you. And it's the whole thing about clearing out these feelings and these emotions and clearing that out. And really, in the end of the book, the last challenge I have is to try to live 30 days in unconditional love, where you do not, for 30 days, you get to where you can go 30 days without having a negative thought. It's possible. It's not easy, but it is possible. And you'll have to start over many times. Ask me how I know. Okay? But it's possible. And so it starts out with the simple things, and this book will take you as high as you want to go, up to that point of unconditional love. And then you're much more aware of what goes on in your brain moment to moment, because a lot of times we're not even monitoring the little chatterbox guy inside. There's a lot of humor in this book. As you read this book, you'll laugh. You'll laugh at some of the stories. I bring a lot of silliness in there, but it's always to share a point, a metaphor about a point that I'm making. There's a lot of stories that'll make you cry as you feel the heart, as people's change, as the suffering that people go through. It'll bring tears to your eyes. And a lot of times I ask you to put the book down and ponder. Really stop and think about, how does this affect me? Where in my life is this stuff happening? So it really is a workbook to add light to your soul. And most of all, after you cry and you laugh and you ponder, you're going to learn to forgive. And then you'll lighten your soul. You will add light to your soul, and it will feel lighter at the same time as you release the negative and release the weight within you. I'd like to just close today and read you one portion of the book. Now, if you guys know my wife, Kris, don't tell her about this part of the video, okay? Because she hates this story. She wasn't very happy. Well, I won't say she hates it, but she's not happy with me for putting it in the book. But I want to share this story with you. just to get an idea of kind of the flavor of the book, where it can get very serious, very spiritual at times. I don't preach any one particular religion. I believe in my higher power, in God and in Jesus Christ, and I talk quite a bit about that, especially as we get into the finer points of forgiveness. But there's also a time to laugh and a time to be happy, and maybe even a time to be a little bit silly. And so the excerpt it sounds a lot better when I type it on paper than when it comes out of my mouth. But the excerpt that I'm going to read right now is from a part of the book, and it's that part where we're talking about the finer points of clearing out the junk within. And in this part of the book, I'm talking about the less prominent negative emotions and feelings we have. Not the real big strong ones, that you need to clean out. It's the ones that you don't even notice sometimes. You don't know they're there until something brings your attention to them. And so this is a story that I share here. Now I'm just going to read this part. It's easier with the big negative feelings of darkness. They're always in your face. You feel them in your heart. They chase you when you lie down at night. They go with you when you go jogging. They even follow you into the shower, and that's just rude. In some ways, the deep, dark feelings are easier because you can't forget them. You know they are there, and eventually you will have to address them. But it's the little ones, the sort of gray guys, that creep me out. They're like little bed bugs that you never see. They're like little worms that burrow in and set up housekeeping, and you never know they're around until something dramatic happens, and you must deal with them. The heading is, no-bake cookies. Do you have a favorite treat at your house? For the Barney family, it was no-bake cookies. You're familiar with no-bake cookies, right? Oatmeal and gooey chocolate. What's not to love about that? I lived for no-bake cookies until one day my wife made up a fresh batch. It's kind of weird that I would say fresh batch because they never lasted more than a day in our home. I had consumed about half the cookies because I'm a considerate father like that, when the odor drifted down the hall and into the kids' bedroom. They all ran to the kitchen for no-bake cookies and milk. The next heading, caterpillar cookies? My three boys, age 7, 5, and 3, sat around the table where Mom put some cookies on a saucer with a glass of cold milk. After scolding me from drinking from the jug, while eating his second cookie, our oldest boy said rather timidly, Mom, why are there little caterpillars in my cookie? I laughed and I told him that it was because tomorrow we would put them out in the sun and they would turn into butterfly cookies. He came back with the question most often asked by my children growing up and even to this day. Mom, is that the truth or just another one of Dad's stupid stories? My dear sweet wife did what she always does, even to this day. She rolled her eyes heavenward with a long-suffering sigh and answered, I'm sure it's nothing. Let me see. Sure enough, the cookies had small caterpillars in them. All of them. I know because we immediately had the opportunity to inspect several of the previously ingested cookies. Not on the paper, but that was gross. Have you ever had weevil in your pantry? They do not confine their weevil business to just the oatmeal for your cookies. Let's examine that little word and break it down. Weevil. We-evil. Wow. Some words perfectly fit the thing they're meant to describe. We-evil. Nothing more needs to be said about that. Needless to say, we threw away everything in the pantry. And then I go on in the book to use this as a metaphor for how we can clean out the unseen we-evils in our lives. The things that we don't notice. We go through life and we think they're great. We go through a whole batch of cookies or however many before we're like, oh my gosh, this is sick. Okay? And there's things inside of ourselves that we don't notice. And that's what this chapter or this portion of the book is about bringing these to. But I use stories like this that are simple and easy to understand, but yet teach a profound lesson. And then we build on that throughout the book. That's just a little bit of what this book is about. I sure hope that you will stay tuned, find the book, read it, and I hope that it changes your life. I didn't write this book for millions of people. I wrote it for you. The one person who wants to get rid of the junk, who wants to live a better life and be a better person. The book is written in the form of a long letter to a good friend. And that's what I truly feel like you are as you read this book. That you're a dear friend that I'm writing a long letter to. It's, again, the book is written to one person, and that's the person reading that book at that moment, and that's to you. I hope that you'll read it, and after that, I hope you will take that book and pass it along to your friends and share it. It can change your life, and if it does nothing more than change one life and yours, it's been well worth it to me. Stay tuned to our website, and we will give you more information on when this book will be released within a few short days and how you can get a hold of it. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.